Adeshima my mamunyina Jo UTV Kasiabo yen saka na yede brem yede fi ship house abeka junction akra ye to ma ne obabi a wo hwe yen efri bia Kasiabo yi enwumakuo bia daroma wo mo na so asene ama yede Kasiabo yi ebrem na ansana no ne edimo akotene bi ene se finance ministry wo mo ekire se wo mo hia bre a obetumi ne nurse fo no wo mo di enkomo e de afa ne wo mo hwehwe e de afri aban me kira nurse fo a wo mo call strike no
GRNMA penya bi de echi e de atodwa se enne no bone e ade a e ha mabunu no pa na Ghana fo yina yen kan humbom se de be ya e betimi atu na se
waswafo e de ato MPRA board no se wo mo encheche wan kwaban mu ye ka pensioner enya aban nwuma ye fo nko a womo ni informal working settles no almost so esese womo timi nya bi na aboa ha ma mo daache ayefe
anase for e de atodwa se ene nyoma bi a akoso wo mrahye bedwafie no omo ebo enjo so cry san se omo sika sema na nka se omo hwe ka ho asem no mrahye bedwafie omo ntimi nya ntimpanfo hwe na omo de ho djuma ema omo
osofo a ohwe nwomasuan so ode ato waye Ken Ghana Education Service wo mo adwuma efo anim se wo mo nyire wo ho nya adwumaden wo mo keka nyoma nsie ni se de be ya ade a wo mo hwehwe wo mo calendar so no etumi asi so pepepe e de ama wo
PRC de abetodwa se ene insuo ene kani abo omatum kakra na we na mrahye bedwafie omakasa afa ho se enya de ebo akra ebe ha Ghana for ni chichiru
enwakoi ena wo maso asenam ye de anwumre Kasiabo iba eye this way chocolate drink de ohia ye nsuhie ye was special ice mineral water ye was special drinks ye was best point savings and loans a wo mo enu nwumako aso asenam anwumre Kasiabo ye de ebremo midin e de akosi asapon menen
Kwame Owusu Ediomi
Yera Kasiabo no mu a ye mfiti ase na ye mfa parliamentary select committee ha wo mo ehwe apomuden adwuma eso wo mo hia Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association na yenimsa wo mo mienu no wo mo wofra kase dada enye ntokwa a eye ntokwa denden ekopie mu sa nurse fue wo mo call strike wo mo kye se enioma hodo bebre enegu akwan mu a wo mo hia e de afra ban ho na wo ma baban aba na wo mfa mma abra wo mo hia ye no emrahye bedwa womo committee omhwe apomuden so tu anamo ekokohweye ema woni won hia ye afa strike no womo twen esensan ye na esese womo sa hia womo sa hia enhia ye ni mu no he no oche sesei anesifue womo tete ne oma so de amomo eni oma bebrebe na fedo mo ba begina emakomako enan na enso so ye hwesikasem so asre se womo break kakra se de be ya obetimi akeka ne oma asi ani enu nti bosumi aye ba besim ne da etoso dunsia wo mbesen hia.
On the 12th of June 2025, the Select Committee of Parliament called a meeting to discuss the ongoing strike by Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association of Ghana. In attendance were the Nurses Association, the Ministry of Health, led by the Minister himself, the Ministry of Finance, led by the Deputy Minister, and the Director of Fair Wages Commission. At the end of the meeting, the nurses reduced their demands to 4. Payment of 8% on basic allowance to all nurses, fuel allowance, which they estimated will apply to 5,300 nurses of a certain category, uniform allowance increased from 400 Ghana cedis to 1,000 Ghana cedis, and the fourth one being research and book allowance, also to be paid to a certain category of nurses. They estimated the number to be about 900. At the end of the meeting, the Ministry of Finance requested for some time to study their demands and carry out an economic and financial impact analysis and report back. It is within this context that a meeting was rescheduled for 2 weeks. That is today, the 26th of June 2025. As as we speak now, the demands of the nurses have been converted into monetary terms. And there's a need for a preliminary meeting between the Ministry of Health, the Health Committee, and the Ministry of Finance to discuss the outcome of the analysis. However, the Minister of Health and the Minister of Finance, they are unavoidably absent from the jurisdiction. The committee therefore thought it prudent to inform the Nurses Association of the above development. I want to use this opportunity to reassure the nurses that the Health Committee, their own committee, and for that matter, Parliament, will continue to advocate for them. We are their representatives, and we represent them. We also represent the patients and all other citizens of Ghana. We will continue to work in our collective interests. I want to thank the Nurses Association for their understanding and cooperation. The next meeting has been rescheduled to the 10th of July 2025.
Yada sujina next for aswe na we na omaka akire mu se nhyiamu ya amba so ide omadi mrahye bedwafo no ho ya opa esanse na nkomu nim se bebi omaka nsam aduru ide na nka no ene omuhia na omotoato na nka bibia akoyi na so ne nyina nkanfo ano de mpanyifo aka ya omode ahye da omode ahye no omode omompa aba dani dru ha ombeba bepiem na omotimi ni mpanyifo ahia na nsem o se mpanyifo ne omoka no omotimi ne omaka se de be omusika asem no aban betimi ahwe efri ho ama omo
Brian Krata every parliamentary services na asema omoka train say sa meeting na ne ehwe ni set 26th of June 2025 the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health besa konya pitamudi no maka train say nyoma na moka no nhihye ya ye ato mu no Brian Krata say sa meeting no e so 26th of June na emo no ometu asheda akakoshe 10th July 2025 na no National Council of the Association no meeting na no yabobo ho ama ene no yafrɛ mo sɛ nsɛm bi da yakoma so a yɛpɛ sɛ yɛka kyerɛ mo na nsɛm a yɛka ne sɛ yɛ strike a yɛkɔɔ no yɛ suspended yɛ calling off enti no ɛsensɛn hɔ ɛkonkɔn hɔ a sɛ yɛka sɛ no yɛ entire fraternity of nurses and midwives ɔmo hwɛ ni sɛ bibia kwebi ya ibetumi aka bibi papa akyerɛ ɔmo ɛfa collective agreement na yɛ nyinaa yɛhwɛ ni sɛ yɛbɛ implement no enti ama meeting na yɛntu abakɔhyɛ 10 July no ɛha yɛ bebree ɛsan sɛ ɛbɛma yɛ collective agreement no sɛ yɛsi mu no atwentwɛn still delayed na mmom no deɛ yɛka ne sɛ July 2025 yɛhwɛ nim sɛ nneɔma ɛnan na meeting na yɛyɛ on 12 June 2025 na nneɔma ɛnan na yɛde to yɛ employers n'anim no ɔmo bɛhwɛ sɛ yɛ implementing in July 2025.
Jumadi asrunku bi akoso wei eye jumadi a womo eye ede ebo esukufo abaso titru wei eye 2025 West African Examination Council wei distinction awards na wei wasi school for no school candidates no omo a omunya distinction no na esafata se ebo mabaso emo hunu se o mayere won ho aye adwumaden eno na onimunyafo Harry na Idrisu a oye osofo a ohwe enwomasuaso so eka ede ache basic school ena afi wasifo ne se omo yire omo ho eye omo adwuma yi a aban betumi enso atunu ho asiwo aye de obetimi bia ahwe ama omo academic calendar no nyina ba be ye pepepe na etimi aboa wo mo e wo ma de chirim
I'm also using this platform to reiterate our strong desire to see the restoration of the academic calendar for both the Basic Education Certificate Examination, BECE, and the West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WASE, to its pre-COVID schedule. So to why we are not particularly happy that since COVID, our academic calendar affects the seamless transition of students to the next layer of their career development. So Ghana Education Service and WAE work together to restore an acceptable calendar, and a calendar which is in tandem with the rest of the West African system. I will be introducing in Parliament within the next few weeks the Ghana Scholarship Authority Bill on behalf of Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, as he pledged to the Ghanaian people to deal with nepotism, cronyism that was associated with the award of scholarship. As I introduce the bill, Chairman, I have the pleasure of President John Dramani Mahama to announce today that these award winners of 3, the President has asked me to expand it to 10 awardees. And those awardees, overall best performing candidates in WASE every other year. And Chairman, get my words well, so that we all serve the President well. All the awardees to be determined by the West African Examination Council will qualify for President John Dramani Mahama's scholarship for scholarship. So every other year, without any interference to WAEC determination of these best students, 10 of them will receive the President's pleasure of continued support with full GET-Fund sponsored scholarship through the Scholarship Authority yet to be established. And therefore, the 5 best performing candidates for each program in science, general arts, business, visual arts, best female science and math student, and best performing female from the most deprived community will also receive the award. So, Chairman, I'm making the application to you that when I bring the Ghana Scholarship Authority Bill, part of its functions will be to support the President and WAEC for the scholarship of scholarship undertaken by WAEC. So when you are doing your legislation, make room for the President's scholarship for scholarship. The President has also asked me to share with you that the second leg of that scholarship will be to promote Pan-Africanism. If there are other excellent students in the sub-region who want to learn our culture, and for us to learn from their culture, they may also qualify for the President's Award from the neighboring West African countries.
And I know that a year PRC Edibetu Jase and a Kanya Bono or Mode Kakra Akaho inti and Ekoto Kanya, Penfo Editum dia Netese, Bonbiri Akosro Kakra, Akao be Ameneu Copium or Mashibejafia, Abejaqua, a share in Namso, a penny Bakwa, or Casa Bejaqui, or also Sai Mashibejani, a Honorable George Kwame Abuaje Akasa Achemuse, Sa Eboa Abeka Kanya Kahui, a Adese Mwakra, and Kankawana, a Yajumacasiano, your Mutokanya Dodona. Sanso na wonse tokanya nkete nketwa edidijuma wo fie no enya de se ebeboa ebeka ho bi amene kanya aboa ye din omo ho etimi ehehi omo panti aban ehwe na otimi enye bibi emfa ho
mentiasia esanze mentiasia enye yi mehwe adi nyoma ema electricity tariff akosro emu bie ni honoma akosro emu bie ni wa akosro wo hwe to say your gas price because your generation mix no thermal no is about 70%. Now say 70% you use gas and so nkosro And say we catch them say crude oil crack or because your system no it a double cycle and it is a crude oil cost na area which may use gas one cost that's I know you one factor exchange rate from and cost I feel in exchange rate I cost na sabreno na $15.527 sabreno to the dollar and pa 3 to the dollar.
Yet was so the Mampenny John Dramani Mahama Wakwako Piemu womo edi enkita ho wei eyen komotwetwe ekoso ewo ewiase man panimfo na wei nyina no eye ade a ebeboa eye apomuden summit na ase nhyiemu a efa apomuden ho ensem na eno ena Mampenny John Dramani Mahama wo ka kire ewiase man panimfo mu be hia mu ewo dwumadie no ase na wo ka kire wo mo efa ewiase nyina no se ye bo sika no a titu ni amanonefo wo mo a ekontokwa no mo sika no me emfa nkokontokwa na emom ye mo sika no na ye emfa hwe enipa na enyi nipa nkwa na emfa nsi wo eno okasa edefa enkwada nketo a wo mo apomuden enhyeda nyina so no esese ye de ani ekoso afei ye ka global vaccination a wose anamo a ye tu ne so a wose ye de bika ho na afei ye koyanim yade agodo bebre wo ho a ehia si ebetimi ahwehwe mu ne yenya enu a ye de wo nipa a ebeboa ma nipa no watena se enu achi Mampenny John Dramani Mahama kasa edefa ne nua bema wo kyese nya vaccine sem ya anka ebre bi atwam nka ne nua no polio yade anka ebubu no gu a anka wontumi enye ho ehwe na ne nyina mu no dwumadie sunku ikoso ewo Brussels Belgium Mampenny ne nsamo a wode tudwa ewo sa dwumadie a Gavifo ehyehyeye.
Let me put the Gavi replenishment in context. Gavi is seeking to spend $9 billion over the next 5 years from 2026 to 2030. And that is to immunize 500 million children across the world. These children's life will be safe to grow up to become the scientists, engineers, nurses, teachers, and doctors of tomorrow. This morning while I was lying in bed, I did the research. And I realized that one B-2 Spirit bomber that dropped bombs on Iran recently cost $2.13 billion. If you work the math, what Gavi is seeking is the value of 4 of those B-2 bombers. Surely, the world can afford the value of 4 B-2 bombers to save 500 million children. It's a choice we have to make. It's a choice we have to make between taking lives and saving lives. And I'm sure that we will save lives instead of taking lives. And so, on behalf of the children of Ghana, I say thank you to Gavi. I say thank you to all who have pledged today. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Adeshimama, yenya boafo nkrato emra. Yeba yebeto akase bolis.
ebusuafo ye mama kwa ba ye damasese monya bre na ye to akase bono so ana ekopim Vice President Her Excellency Professor Jenana Opoku Ajiman aso ene mami akasa achim se enumone ade a ha oman Ghana mabunu ni titru etiene mpanifo hwe na omomoa na enumone a edidwa anase edi hu dwa ye de fa akwani asanyina so de bepiemu oman Ghana mu ase na fe ye mabunu no so enum bi na ese omono ye hwe na yentuni nyina ase ode se wanyina etudwa enne da ye yesi wo se enumone ebetimi abo ho dawuro na kwan efa so ese emofra ni titru o aman ho do so no panifo betimi ahwe ama sa nyoma yi yetimi etu ase eho na Ghana ya mampani abede che Excellency Professor Jenana Opoku Ajiman ekokasa ye no de nsem wonyina etudwa.
The evidence is clear. Invest in prevention. We do this to highlight how prevention reduces harm and promotes more resilient societies. The theme reminds us that we share a responsibility to create a world that is free of drugs. We have made significant gains in the fight against conventional narcotic drugs such as cocaine, heroin, cannabis, through demand and supply interventions. Today, we face a more complex challenge as drug trafficking and organized crime syndicates have shifted to include synthetic opioids. Ghana is investing in practical preventative solutions to address the root causes of substance abuse. Permit me, therefore, to commend the Narcotics Control Commission for their dedication. Their recent operations, both independent and with international partners, have resulted in the seizure of large volumes of illicit substances and dismantled criminal syndicates. And this has happened in Ghana, West Africa, and in Europe. The destruction of over 16 metric tons of seized drugs just last week is proof that we are active in this fight. Every gram destroyed is potentially a life saved. Let us support the Commission and its allied institutions by providing the tools, the training, the resources necessary to stay ahead of these evolving threats. While we pursue traffickers and disrupt their networks, we must not neglect the individuals and communities who suffer the consequences of addiction.
Ghanaians are definitely neither helpless, bystanders, nor are we powerless. Here in Ghana, we, the Narcotics Control Commission, is strong in collaborating with our national security institutions and valued international partners, continue to lead a fierce and focused campaign against illicit drugs. Through tactical border control, intelligence-driven interdictions, the pursuit of strict prosecutions, and the confiscation of criminal assets, we are indeed dismantling networks and sending a clear message that our homeland Ghana is not a safe haven for drug traffickers. As we take cognizance of the objectives we have set for ourselves today as Ghanaians, we must also appreciate that law enforcement alone is not enough. We have placed prevention at the core of our activities. In the last weeks, we have conducted a nationwide drug destruction exercise that led to the Commission destroying about 17 metric tons of illicit drugs. This was not just an operation, but a vehement declaration of our stance that Ghana will not tolerate poisoning of its people.
Has devastated families, broken communities, and shattered the hopes and ambitions of generations. Nonetheless, it is a challenge that we can overcome together should we hit the core. It is my fervent wish that the occasion of World Drug Day will remind us to say no to illicit drugs at all times.
Also for share apedie so eye onimonyamfo Rashid Pelpo na opanyi e de ato board members a yeyi wo mo se wo mo mameboa Emma ene National Pensions and Regulatory Authority wɔn adwuma yɛ ntimi NCPC tano wɔde ato wɔn anim sɛ wɔn nyɛ adwumaden wɔn ntɛtɛ wɔn kwaban mu yɛ ka pensioner eni kwan sɛ ɛyɛ wɔn a ɛyɛ aban adwuma nkwan na emom wɔn nyɛ aban adwuma wɔn nyɛ ankorankora adwuma ɛwɔ sɛ wɔn nyinaa etumi ɛbɛka ho bi.
Section 7 of the National Pensions Act 2008 Act 2766 outlines your mandates clearly. 1, to ensure effective regulations and supervision of the three-tier pension scheme. 2, to promote transparency and protect the interests of contributors and beneficiaries. This includes the vital responsibility of regulating the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, our largest pension fund, to ensure accountability, efficiency, and sustainability in managing contributors' funds. I expect the board to provide strong strategic oversight and policy direction that strengthens institutional performance, builds public trust, and fosters innovation across the pension value chain. In particular, I encourage you to accelerate the expansion of the pension coverage to the informal sector, which holds a significant share of Ghana's working population and untapped pension contributors. Innovative policies and tailored products must be developed to harness and protect the hard-earned savings of informal workers.
We assume this role at a very critical time in the life of our nation's pension sector, one that calls for foresight, innovation, and commitment to the welfare and dignity of Ghanaian workers, both the formal and the informal sectors. The role of the National Pensions Regulatory Act, as enshrined in the National Pensions Act, which was mentioned by our Honorable Minister, is not only to regulate, but to also build confidence in the pension system and ensure financial security for workers in their retirement years. Together with my distinguished colleagues on the board, we pledge to provide strategic direction, just as once again the Minister mentioned, and uphold the principles of transparency and good governance, and support the authority in implementing policies and initiatives that will deepen pension coverage, drive investment growth, and then strengthen regulatory oversight. We are particularly mindful of the need to pursue scalability, agility, and culture through the enhancement of participation from the informal sector, expansion of digital infrastructure, and improvement in public education on pensions. We will work collectively with all stakeholders, government agencies, labor unions, service providers, and the private sector to realize these goals.
Ghana Man Penny's Excellency John Dramani Mahama Abra Ghana for eto aba emano no ohyese bosome enso no ne da edikan no da yesi wo so man ni nyina yen fomba empire emo man Ghana se de be anyagofon betimi asi abehwe na bibia bia no etimi ayi aka ho bi amawate abedweko a omo hwese afide no ebetimi abaso na ne abedweko no akopiem wo MPP amonyoko no asoye eho na omo ne General Secretary lawyer Justin Kodua ekohia ya lawyer akasa chemu say adwumadi Ghana Man Penny's Excellency John Dramani Mahama ode aba no adepa na MPP amonyoko no ombehwe na omasom aboa amana yiye.
bi oda nya kokon dia ma o man Ghana na ya pa abato na se bia anye se kuro bi abasabasa esi ho ni ntoko esi ho na Ghana ida so wa asundwe mu emfa won se ye ndi na mu asundwe na e wo memo kwa na ya dia e kire ni di adanse se nya kokon wo do sonko e ma Ghana tene se program bi abase na ye bedanya mi asia trust em like first Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 8 was say na ye fast da emanya ti ye committee no mobile ni asema amode betu ye nim no ya dia tu and ya so say na mebu a 1st July no ye nya beba na de me jene say enye MPP atade ne ko shako and NDC atade ne shako Ghana atade ne ko shako ti e besi obi a say obi owo pepa bia so boko program no na sa da ne ko ya ma yosem ya da ye ko da nyame ase ti ye ma nyankopon hu set NDC MPP ye ni peku ba ko a ye de asida ene ayeye ene enum to e ko akoma na o sa da.
I'm happy that our president saw it fit to add this aspect to the nation building and the resetting agenda. And as the GS has intimated, this is a country that has not defined our values, our national values very well. So it's like we don't have a yardstick against which we measure the performance of our leaders. We don't have a yardstick that will provide a guide for the upbringing of our youth. And such societies are doomed to fail. And so, even as you are leading this specific national Thanksgiving, prayer, maybe you take some time to reflect also on what should constitute the nation's values. Because if we are able to define our values very well, then it will give us a guidepost as to where this nation is leading to. Today, people degrade the environment the way they deem fit. And as if they are not touched by any feeling that they are doing things wrong. The only thing they think about is what am I getting out of it. So once they make money, every activity sounds good.
And all these things we know that it's not by might, it's not by power, but by the grace of God. And so for both Christians and Muslims, we know that when we give thanks to God, God also blesses us more. In the parable of the 10 lepers.
So edi ananse nsuo etuto nam so amanad before wo moni abre papa pa wo moni na momiamia nsuo betimi afa o adehye a wonom ewo memu enti sabre mfimfini mantem nadbo director eye owura Emmanuel Akwesi Dawood wono ene kwankyerefo a ohwe se wode nani ebekwa akohwe miamia hodo nsuo betimi afa nipa broni friend director of inspectorate ewo nadbo headquarters owura Richard Yate opanyi chese abroad nani akọ toto ehwe se de miamia esi etie no obeka che Ghana de hye nso se wankasa wonkwa ekura won so esese utimi ye ne obetimi bia na ade abo ho bai koba se nsuo to na eyiri a ana se nsuo to na ba bi a wote no nsuo no betimi ayiri wo a ana ebefa wo a wo pe ba bi papa atena emfa wo ego musuo mu
asamisi no penfot na ho na waye nhwe no hu de edan bi wo a edan wa check be 100 years and over a 1 year maintenance bia nti enye ebusuafo tsena ho ebusuan so gi tum de damadan ni nyina no wa makwan de aban mfane nani so na oyi yimfi ho because mosi anope nanda na asane yempede yebetibio nti enye ebusuan atsena ho na yenyina ba yenyantase de edan ni bi ho a wa check 1 year maintenance bia nti obi biara otimino no kwa de sanu nti dem ma yeba yi amafo wankwa efiesam no odan yan kase ye hyeda ne fa kwan pa bi do na edu ju dam dan nyina edu go so na obi obia nkoto afi yenyim de aye bia amanfo woda amanfo e wona obi ne sa akwana no sese wo yi market new market na wo si wa na afo no yenye assembly idin komo na ye be using temporary shelter na afi ebusuafo wan nyama wonya baby mfongu no ye go mo bia ye safe mo bia ne property so I safe nto nye nchicha na afi mo kan wa ode ye mo bia no tonen na dum mpanyifo na assembly na omanhen ye bo hwe ma ya ye mo bia ho ato.
Our core mandate is managing undesirable fires and other emergencies and rescue purposes. Even people don't know that when bee invasion, you should call fire service. So we are everywhere, accident wherever, we are everywhere. So far as we are all under performing the same job. At the end of the day, it's Mother Ghana that we are fighting for, and a safe Ghana that is safe. We are in central regions. We need central region to be safe, so that at the end of the day, Ghana will be safe. Now there is an instruction that even before we give the permits, they should have insurance. They should have EPA. To make sure that the EPA, they have their certificate before we issue, and issue the certificate. And the technical drawings, we have to be strict on them and see to it that the right thing is done.
Yada so ewon finfin mantem ho na eho na panyia ono ene dan nadmu ano yewura kwesi Dawood e de atodwa se enipa 4636 ene insuo ene afi eja ehhehye ahodo no aka ho bi amasa nipai abo ahwete a omunya baabi entena na panifo ehwe amasa ne omani nyina eto etimi etwa.
Within the last 2 weeks, the region has not been exempted from the occurrence of hydrometeorological disaster with its negative impact on lives and properties. Disaster situations in the past week in the region. The region has recorded floods mainly and 2 incidents of fire outbreaks, affecting a total population of 4,636 victims in the region in the past week alone. Flood disasters and fire disasters that we have recorded in the region have rendered 4,636 citizens as victims, of which a sizable number of them have been classified as internally displaced persons in their own region. About 7 o'clock in the morning, following torrential rains that began in the early hours in our metropolis, an old storage building made of bricks located just adjacent the famous Landmark where we are now collapsed and trapped 5 persons. Personnel from NADMO's Rapid Response Units and the operations team, as well as the NADMO's Metro and Sub-Metro staffs, were dispatched promptly to the scene, ably supported by the Ghana National Fire Service personnel, led by the regional commander herself, Madam Mary Atiga. She did so well on Saturday. The Ghana Ambulance Service, the Metropolitan Assembly, led by the mayor himself, personnel from the National Intelligence Bureau, personnel from the RCC, led by the regional coordinating director himself. He was here, Frederick Yeboah, 21 years old, and Obapin Atakakra, 79 years old, were rescued alive, rushed to the Cape Coast Hospital, stabilized, and are responding to treatment as we are speaking currently. The other victims, Obapin Atapain, 79 years also, and Opeyin Emmanuel Ankafo, 84 years, were both rescued lifeless. Their lifeless body were placed in body bags provided by NADMO's Rapid Response Units, rushed to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, confirmed dead on arrival, by the attending physicians. Their bodies have since been deposited at the mortuary. The rescue exercise ended about 1:50 p.m. However, demolition of some dilapidated structures identified by NADMO as a potential hazard was carried out at the instructions of the CCMA.
Abusia ya nya abo afọ nkratom radio. Ye mama akwaba ye toa kasebo no eso. So manfo de wani e de akira encheye na Eswatini wonom ehini kokroko bepie mu ewo Asante Mantam eye otumfo osei tutu opemso ohini nti na oba Ghana ha sei eno nam so ama otumfo osei tutu de atu edwase hesafata se wonom ene Eswatini eman no ebeka bompa na ayonkofa ni mu aye den sanse nioma bebre wo ho a wobetimi aboa na yenso yebeboa wo mu.
On behalf of His Majesty Otumfo Osei Tutu II, Asante Hen, I rise with honor and deep reverence to welcome Your Majesty to Kumasi, the capital of the Asante Kingdom, a land where royal heritage is not only revered but lived in future of the African continent. Otumfo, our king, whose throne stands as a symbol of wisdom, courage, and unity, extends to you the warmest greetings from the depths of his heart, strengthening the bonds of kinship between Eswatini and Asante. May your footsteps on this land be guided by peace and joy and purpose. And may this encounter between two great monarchs echo across Africa as a call to unity, heritage, and progress.
It is an honor to join you all here for this magnificent celebration, the Dubai of Chiefs, which serves as a vibrant display of the history and unity of Asante heritage, traditional leadership. Your Majesty, the Asante and Maswati shared a proud history of resilience against colonial shadows. Your golden stool was never surrendered, and it echoes our unyielding spirit. Just as you gather to honor the Asante Hene, our people rally around the GRNMA to celebrate our shared destiny. Today we stand united in our duty to preserve our cultures, not as relics, but as living forces guiding our future.
Asiabano asi mekai wo say afa president choose anopa ne enwumre eboapa yie president wa ahodo ni nyina ewo chalco ewo triple action afeso so ewo herbal ni nyina no eboabo ose no ho eban ene ewo enkwadaade eti uko supermarket bia mepacho stock etwa na ewo nchen okra ukwa wonsa ebeka bi matade ehemi eye clothing palace wo mo ene ehemi atade clothing palace eton ema ho ne o nyina bi said you see penny biano kwa unsa ebeka eya ni omo enkasa wo 0271 0271998313 uhwehwe omo de a wono mo Accra one lava ne di enhwe ni mu ukọ wa benya ne ma kama oba na ode ahye midin ede akosi asapon mene
Kwame Owusu Eduomi
ya mama mo ni hwa ade hye